A few things come to mind when I think of what's important to provide my D&D players with real power to make meaningful choices. 1. The opposition between railroading and sandbox adventures is misleading. The precise opposite of railroading is player agency. I think that player agency has 4 characteristics. Player choice, which from my point of view is more important for how players engage in an encounter rather than which encounter they engage in. A fair and balanced challenge to the player's choice of action. Different possible outcomes, of which success or failure are the most basic ones, and consequences to that outcome, in the form of rewards or hindrances for the players. Once that became clear to me, it made me realize that it's possible to run linear adventures without railroading my players, as long as I made sure I was favoring player agency in each individual encounter of my adventures. 2. The concepts of location-based adventures and event-based adventures have always confused me. After all, there is a location and an event for every encounter, isn't there? Adventure environments tend to lead to certain adventure styles, dungeons to dungeon crawls, wilderness to hex crawls, and settlements to sandboxes. Location-based adventures is a term that tries to capture all that, while event-based adventures would better favor storytelling. Better understanding those concepts allowed me to tinker with them. A small town under attack can easily become a dungeon crawl. A larger city under siege with its numerous neighborhoods can become an over-the-top hex crawl. A dungeon with rooms that flesh out the story of the adventure, the overarching campaign, the world, and even the characters' backstories becomes much more than a dungeon crawl. I think that regardless of the adventure environment and style, there are always means to provide great player agency and immersive storytelling. 3. I love to offer my players alternative paths they can pursue in my adventures. But that's only effective if they're able to make informed decisions. First, I try to establish creative connections among the areas of my adventure. If it's a dungeon, I'm thinking of secret passages, stairs, bridges, tunnels, mezzanines, and ledges. If it takes place in the wilderness, I think of roads, trails, water bodies, gorges, and ridges. That provides alternative paths my players can follow. Then, I try to use my locations to help me tell the story of my adventure. I strive to make my locations immersive storytelling experiences that foreshadow what lies ahead. That gets especially interesting if skill checks are involved. Stealth, to peek at what's ahead, investigation to uncover relevant information, perception to identify sounds, and history, arcana, or religion to identify symbols. After all, alternative adventure paths only become effective options if I can provide my players with hints about what to expect in each path. Acquiring a clear understanding of what player agency really is and how I could better apply it to the different adventure environments I use in my campaigns helped me a lot. It allowed me to tinker with the typical adventure style adopted for each of those environments and loosen up the restrictions they could bring to player agency. Maybe even more importantly, all that allowed me to understand that it's possible to fit great storytelling in whichever type of adventure environment and whichever adventure style my players and I select to play.